Free! We won't be silent. Free! Stop the bombing now, 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 now. We are the people.
A little bit about Lebanon before we go on to our first speaker. Lebanon in 1943, Lebanon gained its independence after 23 years of French control. 5 years later, in 1948, the Arab-Israeli War began, when the British mandate ended in Palestine and Israel became a state. Palestinian refugees began arriving in Lebanon then. And in 1982, Israel launched a full-scale invasion of Lebanon. The south of Lebanon, all the way to Beirut, was occupied by Israel. And with Israeli support, the Phalangist militia killed between 1,300 and 3,500 Palestinians and Lebanese Shias in the Sabra and Shatila massacre in Beirut. So at this time, Hezbollah was founded in opposition to the Israeli occupation. In May 2000, Israel withdrew from southern Lebanon, putting an end to 18 years of the Israel occupation. But we know the conflict and unrest has remained. And since the genocide by Israel on Gaza, Hezbollah, well, we're launching an offensive over the border in solidarity for the Palestinians. But over the past year, 1,900 people have been killed in Lebanon. And in September, more than 100,000 people, Lebanese and Syrian nationals, crossed into Syria from Lebanon. Israel's escalating strikes on Israel.
Stop the bombing now, 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 now.
Raja, ana Raja, 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 abradi.
Raja!
Raja, ana Raja, ala tulkaram. Raja, ala al-Aqsa.
Raja!
ala al-Palestine.
Raja!
Palestine.
Raja!
Ma kull الناس.
Raja!
Ma kull الناس.
Raja!
Ma kull الناس.
Raja!
Ma kull الناس.
Raja!
ومن الميت للموتى. أجل الميت. فلسطين عراقية.
Palestine Arabia!
فلسطين
It's been another busy week.
Strikes on Lebanon killed more than 1,000 people in just 2 weeks. And in the last week, Israeli bombardment has killed more than 700 people in Lebanon, including 14 paramedics. Lebanese Prime Minister Mikati said the wave of airstrikes has forced people to flee from Beirut and other parts of the country, and this is the worst displacement crisis in that country's history. Over 1 million people, that is a fifth of the population, have fled their homes as the bombardment of Israel has continued, including the use of white phosphorus incendiary bombs. Despite the disproportionate number of deaths of mainly civilians in Lebanon, Israel's stance has been to see itself as the victim, not the aggressor. Last week on BBC News, Radio 4, far-right Israeli diplomat to the UK, Zipi Hotaveli, said, "In the north we have ghost cities. 70,000 Israelis have lost their homes and dozens have lost their lives. We want our children to go into school. We are talking about children evacuated for a whole year and not seeing a classroom. Well, what about the Palestinian children who will never live to see a school? What about them? What about those victims, eh?" Israel refuses to see the tragic irony that over 18,000 Palestinian children have been killed, never to see school again. And in response to Israel's heavy bombardment in Lebanon, on the 1st of October, Iran launched 182 missiles into Israel. Netanyahu said that Iran's missile attack has failed and Iran has made a big mistake. And
Ceasefire now!
Right,
Viva Palestine! Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
Free, free, free Palestine!
The students, united, will never be defeated! The students, united, will never be...
And Keir Starmer stated that he stands with Israel. And Israel has the right to defend herself. Well, I'm sorry, as a woman, it's herself. Don't put my gender to shame and treat a genocidal regime as a her, please. That is offensive. Insult to my gender. Iran's supreme leader blames Western countries for the escalating unrest in the Middle East, stating the root of the problems which causes these wars, conflicts and tensions is the presence of the same people who claim they want peace and tranquility in the region. He said, I'm referring to America and some European countries. And if Israel removed their evil from the region, without a doubt, these conflicts, these wars, these clashes would disappear completely. And the countries of the region can manage themselves, manage their region, and live together in peace, health, and well-being. So just to bring us up to date before I introduce our speaker, 2,119 people have been killed in Lebanon in the last year, including 9,745 injured. Israel yesterday targeted a market in Nabatea, South Lebanon, and families in the 22 villages there have been ordered to leave or die. France, Italy and Spain continue